Hare Krishna. Welcome to ISKCON Portland Sunday Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we're going to discuss about Canto 1, Chapter 15, verse number 28. Before that, let's start with Mangalacharan prayers. I'm going to share my screen. You can see my screen, right, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shanvatam Swakada Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantastuha Bhadrani Vidunoti Shuhrutsatam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanathimirantasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatharine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you for joining Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. As I mentioned, today's verse is chapter 1, Canto 1, chapter 15, verse number 28. Going to share my screen. Okay. I'm going to recite 3 times. Devotees who are interested can also recite after that. Suta uvacha evam chintayato jishno krishna pada saroruham sauhardena atighadena santasid vimalamati. Suta uvacha evam chintayato jishno krishna pada saroruham sauhardena atighadena santasid vimalamati. Suta uvacha evam chintayato jishno krishnapada saroruham sauhardena tigadena santasid vimalamati. Hare Krishna. Does any devotee wants to recite this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
सुत उवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णोः कृष्णपाद सरोरुहं सौहार्देनातिगाढेन शान्तासीद् विमलामतिः. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु. थैंक यू.
सूत उवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णु कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सुहार्देनातिगाधेन शान्तासीद् विमलामतिः.
Thank you, Prabhu.
सुत उवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णु कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सौहार्देनातिगादेन शान्तासीद् विमलामति. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Okay, let's go ahead and read synonyms. Suta Uvacha, Suta Goswami said, Evam, thus, Chintayata, while thinking of the instructions, Jishnu, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Pada, the feet of Krishna, Saroruham, resembling lotuses, Sauhardhena, by deep friendship, Atigadhena, in great intimacy, Shanta, pacified, Asit, it so became, Vimala, without any tinge of material contamination, Mati, mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindha Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted In the great intimacy of friendship and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Today we're going to discuss about the two main things. Arjuna became pacified and how he got purified. The two main takeaways from today's words. Purport. Since the Lord is absolute, deep meditation upon him is as good as yogic trance. The Lord is non-different from his name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and specific actions. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. The Lord is like the sun. The sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance, and the Lord's appearance within the mind of the devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from all contamination of the material world. The feeling of separation from the Lord is undoubtedly painful to the devotee, but because it is in connection with the Lord, it has a specific transcendental effect which pacifies the heart. Feelings of separation are also sources of transcendental bliss, and they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation. Translation one more time. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Hare Krishna. This is a beautiful verse with a wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada highlighting instructions given to Arjuna. It reminds us two keys. One is Santashid, pacified, and the other thing is Vimala, without any tinge of material contamination. Talks about the purification. The two keys here are pacify and purify our minds through remembrance of Krishna. The main instruction in this verse is like, how can we remember Krishna? This verse especially talks about the beautiful transformation of Arjuna from pain to peace. After Krishna departed, uh, Arjuna was grief stricken. He was in deep pain. So this verse is a transformation from pain to peace, confusion to clarity, and from loss to love. Today we'll try to reflect on that journey, on how Arjuna moved through the two peace, pacified and purified, and how did he arrive at the peace. Before that, dear devotees, today we are gathered on a sacred day of observance. Yesterday, that was the disappearance day of His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Although we say disappearance, it is not a day of loss, it's a day of remembrance. Just as the sun sets in one place but rises in another, Srila Prabhupada departure means he has entered into Krishna's eternal pastimes. While still shining in our lives through, Srila Prabhupada lives on through his instructions, through his books, through his temples, and the disciples and the holy name. Now let's see how this remembrance beautifully connects to today's words we are discussing today. So before we take a deep dive into today's words, let's go back to the previous verses from this particular chapter, chapter 15 of Canto 1, from verse number 1 to 27. Let's see what happened before Arjuna reached this peaceful state. So before starting with verse number 1, when Krishna left this world, Arjuna was completely heartbroken. In verse 1, Sutta Goswami says that Arjuna was grief stricken because of separation from Krishna. And verse 2 to 4 talks about Arjuna's bodily feelings. His mouth dried up and his heart lost its luster, and he could barely control his tears. Just imagine, this is the same Arjuna who once stood fearless on the greatest battles, Kurukshetra, who defeated mighty warriors like Bhishma, Karna, Drona, and various others. But now he says that he can't even hold his bow. And in verse 5, he speaks to King Yudhishthira that, O king, the supreme lord has left me, and therefore my strength is gone. Arjuna acknowledges that all his strength was through Krishna. And verse 5 through 14, Arjuna remembers various Krishna's, his interactions with Krishna. Arjuna begins recounting all the times, all the pastimes with which he spent with Krishna, how Krishna guided him, how Krishna protected him and empowered him through various instances. He says, Arjuna says, it was only by Krishna's mercy that I had any strength at all. Without him, all my prowess is gone. He remembers various instances. Only by his merciful strength I could pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi. And he also remembers defeating Indra and his associates during the Khandava Dhana. He also remembers about receiving divine weapons from Lord Shiva and other demigods, building this magnificent assembly hall with the help of the demon architect Maya. And he also remembers and recollects about the Rajasuya sacrifice where kings all over the world offer tribute to Yudhishthira. And he realizes at this moment that none of this was me, it was all him, Krishna. And through the remaining verses in this chapter, he continues on the battlefield. Krishna protected Arjuna again and again. Even the greatest warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Salya, Jayadratha, even though they directed their invincible weapons towards Arjuna, none of those weapons could harm Arjuna because Krishna was continuously, constantly protecting him like a shield. Arjuna admits that even I dared to make Krishna my chariot driver. He who is served by the greatest souls, what audacity, yet out of love he tolerated me. Arjuna remembers the intimate friendship between Arjuna and Krishna. And from this verse number 18, the remembrance deepens. He recalls their laughs, I mean, like various playful arguments between what Krishna and Arjuna had. Krishna used to call him, O Partha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty. In fact, Arjuna remembrances various instances how they've spent their time together. They slept, they ate together, they wandered together like inseparable companions. They had the greatest friendship. Sometimes Arjuna jokingly uh, corrects Krishna that, my friend, you are very truthful. And yet, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, would smile and accept it, just as a loving father forgives his child. Imagine the Supreme Personality of Godhead sharing such intimate friendship with Arjuna. Now, through verse 20 and 21, it talks about the heartbreak. Arjuna says that without Krishna, I am defeated by mere cowherd men. Now, Arjuna says that he has the same bow, same horses, same skills, but no potency, because he feels that the empowerment is coming through Krishna. He compares himself to one who pours ghee on ashes or sows seed on barren soil. There is an effort, but no result. Because when Krishna departs, life loses its vitality. And he also recollects and mentions about the end of the Yadus. He then narrates to Yudhishthira the tragic end of the Yadu dynasty. And between 22 and 26, um, he discusses about various instances where the last week, Braj Mohan Prabhu also mentioned about this, where because of a curse of the Brahmanas, by the Brahmanas, the Yadus become intoxicated They fought among themselves and destroyed one another. And before we dive into before today's words, which is remembering Krishna's words and instructions, in the last week we did discuss about verse number 27, where Arjuna speaks something truly beautiful and profound. He says that now I'm attracted to those instruction imparted to me by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heat and all circumstances of time and space. Last week, His Grace Paramakarana Prabhuji reminded us the Lord's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. The instructions are timeless and universal, which is meant for all people in all places at all times. Those instructions which were spoken at the battlefield of Kurukshetra are not only for Arjuna alone, but it is for every single individual, every single living entity. The Bhagavad Gita stands supreme. It is the most easily accessible scripture. And I mean, Acharyas say that the Bhagavad Gita should be our guiding force. And Param Prabhu also stressed that point last week, that Bhagavad Gita offers spiritual solutions to all material problems. So this remembrance of Krishna's words marks as a turning point in Arjuna's heart. And it is right here in this inner transformation, the verse 28 begins. As Arjuna remembers Krishna's instructions and his lotus feet, his mind became pacified and purified, Shanta and Vimala. So we can call this transformation two peace, like two peas in a pod, to peace. The two peas here are the pacified, where his mind became calm. After a lot of disturbance in his mind, now he feels, by remembering Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna's instructions, his mind became calm, Shanta Shit, and he got purified. His mind became spotless, Vimalamati. Two peace that takes us to peace. But what kind of peace is this? Not the peace of escaping from the worldly problems or ignoring those problems and sleeping, but that peace comes from Krishna consciousness. And the heart rests in remembering him. The first instruction from this verse is Krishna Pada Saroruham, the second line. Meditating on Krishna's lotus feet. And the second thing is about contemplating his divine instructions, such as those in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gave numerous instructions throughout the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada and various acharyas highlights these two practices. These two practices combined with Arjuna's intimate friendship with Krishna, Sauhardena Atighadena, that intimate friendship transformed his troubled mind into that one was Shanta, peaceful, and Vimala. Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, explains in his lecture on the same words that is the essence of Krishna consciousness, to always think of Krishna. As Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita 934 and 1865, Manmana Bhava Bhakto, engage your mind, always thinking of me, starting with his lotus feet, and to revive our eternal relationship with him. Today we'll try to explore these two P's, which leads to peace. How can we apply them in our lives? Before this verse, until before this verse, Arjuna was in a deep crisis. A great warrior like Arjuna, the hero of the Mahabharata, conqueror of Kurukshetra, and Krishna's dearest friend, fell into despair. In this chapter, verse number Canto 1, chapter 15, so far what we just discussed, we find Arjuna grieving after Krishna's departure from this world. His heart is heavy, his strength got diminished, his heroic qualities are fading. He says earlier in this chapter, without Krishna, my bow is useless, my arrows are ineffective. This is not just a physical weakness, but a profound spiritual emotional crisis. Arjuna feels disconnected. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this like a finger. I mean, as long as if a finger is in our body, it has some value. As soon as a finger is cut from the body, it doesn't have any value. If we can relate to our lives and think about this verse, how many of us are looking for peace while facing life's challenges? It can be stress at work, a strained relationship, or the constant noise of the modern life. And people often read self-help books or consult therapists for the peace, or in fact chase material success to get some relief. But as Srila Prabhupada says, we are all reading so many books, consulting philosophers, scientists, searching for the peace of mind. But we are forgetting that our suhrit, our real suhrit, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, the famous peace formula, our real life in, lies in reconnecting with Krishna, our eternal friend. And as we just discussed about Bhagavad Gita 5:29, the the acharyas often quote this as a peace formula: Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gnatmamam shantim rachati. Krishna is the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. And he's not just a benefactor only for Arjuna. He is Suhrit. He's having that friendship like with every living entity. And one who attains that peace will come out of that material miseries. And here Arjuna's story is universal. His crisis mirrors our own when we feel lost or disconnected. But Srimad Bhagavatam offers a solution. As Sutta Goswami narrates in this verse, Arjuna finds peace not through external means, but by turning inward, meditating on Krishna's lotus feet and his teachings. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes on the same words: as soon as one begins to think of Krishna's lotus feet, everything became pacified. Everything become pacified. This is the promise of Krishna consciousness, immediate peace through connection with the Supreme. And as we are discussing about two main things, Santasiddha and Vimala, how to get our mind focused on Krishna, meditating on Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna Pada Saroruham. Why the lotus feet? In the Vedic tradition, the lotus feet, the Lord's lotus feet, are the ultimate shelter for the devotees. They are described as Saroruham, if you can see, resembling lotuses. They are soft, beautiful, and cooling to the heart. Imagine just a lotus rises pure from the muddy waters. Krishna's feet lift us above the mud of material existence. And Srila Prabhupada gives a practical method of meditation in his lecture on this verse. And he also stresses that point that we cannot think of Krishna all of a sudden on the top. Like we can't think of Krishna directly from his face. And Srila Prabhupada stresses that we need to start from his lotus feet. He explains the structure of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first and second canto represents Krishna's lotus feet. And then the middle cantos until canto 9 represents his body. And the 10th canto, his smiling face. That's the reason Srila Prabhupada and many acharyas will say it should be an incremental, step-by-step process before we go into canto 10. So as we hear daily Srimad Bhagavatam, we are actually climbing one step to another step, from Krishna's feet to his smiling face. This gradual meditation purifies the heart, which brings peace and revives our lost intimacy. And this again goes back to the famous example Srila Prabhupada often quotes: a finger cut from the body. And if there is a doctor who can attach that finger, again, it will have that value. Otherwise, a cut finger will not have any value. But why is this meditation so powerful? The purport and Prabhupada's lecture emphasizes that Krishna is absolute, And you can see in this line, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that his form, name, qualities are non-different from him. When we meditate on Krishna's lotus feet, we are directly in touch with Krishna himself. Just as sunlight dispels darkness, Prabhupada says, this transcendental meditation immediately, without any delay for a moment, will feel completely pacified. And this is not just an ordinary meditation. And Srila Prabhupada calls this as transcendental meditation, transcendental consciousness, where even a moment of focus on Krishna brings peace. But how do we meditate on Krishna's lotus feet? Srila Prabhupada explains that the deity worship means to train the neophyte devotees how to concentrate upon the form of Krishna, especially his lotus feet. In temples, we see the beautiful deities of Krishna, Gaurnitai. They're always decorated with flowers. Their feet are marked with auspicious symbols like conch and lotus. When we offer our obeisances, we focus on these feet because we are mentally placing ourselves at Krishna's service. And when we are not at the temple, when we are at the home, we can visualize Krishna's form through a picture or a mental image, or by chanting his holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we can picture his lotus feet. Acharyas say even a few minutes of this practice can calm the mind. As Prabhupada says, when we are accustomed to think of Krishna, that is called transcendental meditation. And this meditation can be done at any time, any place. And if we can immediately meditate, you will see the lotus feet of Krishna. And if we can think of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who danced in ecstasy before Lord Jagannath, focusing on his lotus feet, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspired thousands of many fallen conditioned souls through by chanting Krishna's holy name. Similarly, here in this verse, Arjuna's meditation on Krishna's feet, Krishna Pada Saroruham, lifted him from despair to peace. Here, the first P is direct path to peace. That was the first P, where how to get pacification by thinking of Krishna's lotus feet. The second thing, how to get purified. The second P to peace, P is meditating on Krishna's instructions. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And all those instructions were deeply absorbed. Arjuna is thinking about these instructions. By thinking about the instructions of the Lord, he's thinking about the Lord. These great instructions were delivered on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra. And these are not just ordinary words, but those are the words of divine wisdom, which can cut through the ignorance and suffering. And Bhagavad Gita often addresses universal questions. The major questions what we can ask through Bhagavad Gita is, what is my duty? Who am I? How do I find peace? And Krishna tells Arjuna, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you'll come to me without fail. Krishna says these instructions in Bhagavad Gita 1865. And Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the absolute nature of Krishna's words. And Krishna is non-different from his words. That is absolute. What Krishna said 5,000 years ago, if we catch up those words again, we are immediately connected with Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada stresses that point immediately. There is power in Krishna's words. When Arjuna recalls the teachings of Gita, such as the immortality of the soul, as Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita 2:13, Dehinosmin yada dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tada dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth, youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body as death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. And not only that, Krishna also talks about the importance of the duty. Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. We all have the right to perform our prescribed duty, but we are not entitled to the fruits of action. And the ultimate instruction of the Bhagavad Gita is 1866. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. And Krishna promises that I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. One who can think of these instructions, if we can think of these instructions, the mind becomes Vimala, pure, which is free from material contaminations. And Srila Prabhupada explains, when he began to think of Krishna and his instructions as in the battlefield, immediately he became Shanta, peaceful. Krishna's words are like a divine physician healing the wounds of material existence. To follow the second P, Vimala, that P, many acharyas said that we need to make a habit of reading the Bhagavad Gita daily, even one verse, reflect on its meaning and applying to our life. For example, when facing a dilemma, recall in Bhagavad Gita 2:7, where Krishna, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna until that point is more of a friendship. But from 2.7, Arjuna surrenders himself. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prachamitam dharma sammuda cheta yashreyashan nishchitam bruhitanmi. Arjuna admits that I'm confused about my duty and have lost all my composure because of miserly weakness. He says that at that moment, I'm your disciple and a soul surrender unto you. Unto you, please instruct me. That is the point where Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, treating Arjuna as a disciple and Krishna as a guru. And Srila Prabhupada, when he's speaking on the same verse, instructs that you can become a spiritual master on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. Yare deka tare kaha Krishna upadesha. We can't advise our rascaldom. We need to advise Krishna upadesha. Whatever Krishna has said, we just need to transform. We need to inform the same. Just tell the same upadesha, Krishna's instructions, Krishna's teachings with others, not our own opinions or mental concoctions. And this verse highlights Sauhardena Atigadena. It talks about the deep friendship with Krishna. This relationship between Arjuna and Krishna is the secret sauce that makes his meditation so effective. Arjuna was not only just a devotee, he was Krishna's friend. They both shared wonderful moments, and sharing laughter, battles, heart-to-heart talks. There is some intimate friendship, not some, like a deep intimate friendship between Krishna and Arjuna. And Srila Prabhupada also stresses that we need to establish that relationship. And there are many types of relationship with Krishna, and there are various ways. One is Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. As soon as one revives one of these rasas, intimacy, then we can become happy. But how do we develop that intimacy? The intimacy can be developed through chanting, through prayers, or offering our daily activities to Krishna. And that relationship, re-establishing that the lost relation should be natural. Our love for Krishna is natural. It's called Nitya Siddha, but it's covered by material illusion. We can revive that relationship through chanting of the holy name and engaging with Krishna in some activity which always thinking about Krishna, meditating on Krishna. We can convey our prayers to Krishna. Engage with Krishna personally. Talk to him in a prayer. Krishna, I'm struggling today. Please guide me. Or offering our food, whatever we prepare, offering food to him before eating. Serve him through act of kindness. In the Mahabharata, Krishna and Arjuna shared wonderful, playful moments. Krishna drove Arjuna's chariot, and their friendship empowered Arjuna to face impossible odds. And these are the wonderful instructions for us. Like, if we can see, Arjuna and Krishna, they have intimate friendship. But for us, if we can think of these five rasas, that Krishna is supreme, and we act as a servant to Krishna. Once we serve Krishna, we can develop that intimate relationship. We can develop that love for Krishna. And the result of the two P's here we just discussed, meditating on Krishna's lotus feet and his instructions, is a mind that is peaceful and pure. This is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Even can be, one can face the heaviest of calamities. And Acharya say that will not be disturbed as long as our faith is strong. And this peace, whatever, when we think of Krishna's lotus feet and instructions, this peace is not temporary, it's transcendental. It's rooted in our eternal connection with Krishna. Our modern minds are always busy. I mean, probably 30 years back, 40 years back, the world used to be different. But in the modern world, we need to undergo through a lot of distractions, social media, scrolling, planning, worrying about work, family, relationships, a lot more. Just as in this verse or in this chapter, Arjuna was disturbed when disconnected. We to lose the peace when our attention drifts away from Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada and many acharyas quote that our mind is like a bulb. The bulb might be connected to a wire. The wire may be perfect, but without the current, there is no light. Similarly, our intelligence, our skills, our resources are useless without connecting to Krishna. That connection is the powerhouse. So the secret of peace is not in controlling the world, but in connecting ourselves with Krishna. So let's experience a taste of this peace. Let us all close our eyes for a moment and picture Krishna's lotus feet, which is soft, radiant, and with divine symbols, and chant softly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Remember to reflect on this verse, Bhagavad Gita 5:29, the famous peace formula, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Knowing me as the friend of all beings, one attains peace. Even a few moments of this practice can bring profound calm. And through this verse, Arjuna's transformation shows us that even in our darkest moment, Krishna is our ultimate friend. He is ready to lift us to peace. Srila Prabhupada reminds us we have to keep ourselves always connected with the original powerhouse. Then wherever we'll go, there will be light. And yesterday was Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. And if we compare Arjuna, and there are some parallels between Arjuna and Srila Prabhupada. Just as Arjuna became peaceful by remembering Krishna's lotus feet after Krishna's departure, we too can become peaceful by remembering Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Because Srila Prabhupada is the pure devotee, a representative of Krishna. Remembering him also brings us the same destination, Krishna's shelter. Because Srila Prabhupada himself said that I will never die. I live forever in my books, and you will utilize. Even today, we have those great instructions through Srila Prabhupada's books. When we hear his voice, or read his books, or chant the holy name, we are serving the mission of Srila Prabhupada. He is present. And just as Arjuna's heart became Shanta, peaceful, and Vimala, pure, our hearts too become pacified and purified, leading us to peace. But how did Srila Prabhupada embodied these words? Arjuna remembered Krishna with deep affection after his departure, whereas Srila Prabhupada always remembered Krishna even while facing obstacles in preaching. Srila Prabhupada faced the greatest difficulties when he was traveling on Jaladuta after stepping on the in United States while preaching in the downtown of the New York and Tompkins Square Park, and a lot more challenges. Arjuna became peaceful amidst loss of losing Krishna, whereas Srila Prabhupada stayed calm in spite of facing many challenges. He was alone in New York without any money or any followers. Arjuna's mind became pure and serene. And if you see Srila Prabhupada, his heart was spotless and he was free from envy. He was filled with compassion because he turned he peace to happiness. He was able to spread Krishna's glories through chanting, through his books, temples, and devotees. Srila Prabhupada, when he was chanting alone in New York, people used to mock him, ignored him, even insulted him. Yet he remained peaceful, patient, and prayerful, remembering Krishna's lotus feet. That remembrance transformed loneliness into love, a failure into faith, and a silence into Sankirtana. This is this is Santa Sid Vimalamati. That's the key takeaway from this verse. A pure heart absorbed in Krishna's service, which is unaffected by external conditions. If we can take one point from today's words, those are the instructions through Arjuna, through Srila Prabhupada. Whenever we are disturbed, it can be the material problems or any kind of problems. Think about Krishna's lotus feet. Think about Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. These are the two main instructions, two main takeaways from this verse. Hare Krishna. I'll conclude with that point, and if there is any additions, corrections, reflections, questions, we can discuss. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Sorry, Prabhu, I missed the half of the class. I really want to go back and listen. So the second half was so wonderful. Like
Thank
all the parallels you were drawing between, especially right before the class about Prabhupada. And I know you've just come back from New York. I'm hoping you were able to go visit all the places, the the Tom Square Park, the tree under which Prabhupada first started the chanting of the Lord's name and so on. It's just wonderful, Prabhu, how important it is to reflect on the Lord's feet and meditate on the Lord's feet. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's very, very nice. I have to go back and listen to the first half of the class. Thank you so much. It's always Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So thank you so much for discussing the pastime of Lord Krishna here, where Arjuna is experiencing the separation. I was just contemplating the song that we were singing yesterday from Srila Narottam Das Thakur, that even though he has all the commentaries, like it is said, when Acharya is gone, he's still there in his writings. So I was contemplating on this, that Srila Narottam Das Thakur is still have the access to all the writings of acharyas, but still he is singing Kaha Mora Swarupa Rupa, Kaha Sanatana, and going on to that. So I was thinking, why is he lamenting, even though he has everything there in front of him? So I thought maybe he is lamenting because he's missing the personal presence, like the presence of those devotees, rather than so we can contemplate on this pastime also. Like Arjuna is lamenting for the personal presence of the Lord, similar to all Gopi Geet that we sing. Gopis are lamenting the personal presence of the Lord, even though they have the Lord's name, Lord's holy name, association of Lord's holy name, and association of Lord's paraphernalia, but still they want to have the association of personal Lord. So what I wanted to just add, or like just think, just comment on that is our sadhana for Krishna, reading scriptures should also lead to this meditation that one time we want to meet Lord Krishna. Yeah, so just wanted to add that. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, but very nice, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for recollecting yesterday's Guru Vandana prayers, Prabhu, by Narottam Das Thakur.
Yeah, very nice point, Damodar Krishna Prabhu. So, and very nice class, Vidagdha Prabhu. I joined a little late and didn't catch the initial part, but I really liked the meditation that you made go through and think of Sri Krishna's lotus feet. Such a nice picture you have put up here. So please continue giving us your nectar in the coming years. It's very nice to hear. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you for inspiring, Prabhu. I mean, I tried to continue from what you said last week about Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Like there are various instructions, and ultimately Bhagavad Gita is supreme, and it is not only applicable to Arjuna, but at any time, any place, these instructions are applicable to all. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Very wonderful class, Prabhuji. Yeah, like many devotees said, you had so much, you meditated on this verse a lot, and yeah, and I can see the amount of preparation you had done. It was wonderful, wonderful. So much learnings from this. Like the true peace, peace and purity, how we can achieve it, and at the time of difficulties, we can meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. So yeah, wonderful, Prabhuji. Very, very thorough preparation. Wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. I was discussing with Jai Sachinandan Prabhu on Friday evening about, I was like discussing about this verse, and he said like, I have 2 P's, I don't have 3P, and he said like 2 P's in a pod. So pacified, like Arjuna was pacified and purified. I mean the 2 P's to peace. So that's where the Acharyas quote Bhagavad Gita 5:29 as peace formula. So thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sorry, I had a very late night at work, so couldn't join. But I'm excited to hear the lecture through YouTube. What was essence for my own benefit?
Meditating on Krishna's lotus feet and meditating on his instructions. Those are the 2 points. Santasid Vimalamati. The point what the last line of this verse, Prabhu. That key essence which I took from this verse.
Mm. Very nice. I'll try to listen in later today. And anybody else have questions, comments? Prabhuji ended early. Mm. Okay. Anything else you want to share? Prabhu?
That's all, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Well, yesterday was the disappearance anniversary of Srila Prabhupada. We'll observe it formally at the temple today. There'll be a lecture starting at 11:30, and then it'll end a little early so we can do Pushya Abhishek and chant. Okay, thank you. Vanchakalpataribhyo Sankirvo Sandabhyo Cha Itanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.